must say the thing that I enjoy most is, not surprisingly, the students. The students, since this is a graduate level program, have been through undergraduate and are very near to launching their careers. And the ones that take an entrepreneurial course are very, very aggressive students, really interactive. They're not what you might think of as the typical engineering student with the slide rule, and right in the old days. They're extraordinarily interactive, which they have to be interested in entrepreneurship. And in fact, my father was one of the first student in the first engineering class at Duke, just after World War II. If you look back at the history of the engineering school, that's when everything got started. So my father was in the first graduating class. To the person who used to teach the entrepreneurial course, who is my very best friend here. And so he took his time in figuring out who was going to succeed him, and I was the choice. So there you have it. One of the things I teach in my course is learning how to pitch your company in 30 seconds or less. Because very often that's the only it's called an elevator pitch, because you might meet somebody on an elevator and you don't have more than about 30 seconds to make them interested in what you're doing. And you find that all over the place, at parties, at conferences. Nobody wants to spend the time unless they're really interested. And it also takes a measure of being able to have people say no, or to indicate that they don't understand or they don't care about what you're doing. You have to rebound from that. When you go to a conference, I probably speak to 100 or 150 people in the course of attending a conference and having a show booth, an exhibit booth. I would say 80% of them are really not interested. Of those 80%, some of them are really interested from an intellectual point of view, but they're doing something else and they're not really interested. So interesting opportunity that they might be interested in some way or another, and that mostly comes down to funding, because that's what you need to do as the primary person in a company that's doing venture development. You have to have money, and that money has come over the 30 years that I've been in the business from a variety of sources. And venture capital, for example, used to be only really, really early stage stuff that nobody understood, but the venture capitalists saw a spark there, right? Now, venture capital is a lot more conservative for the most part. They're moving a little bit more down the path of development before they start investing. And so things like grants are very important for early stage companies now, because federal grants provide capital that you don't have to pay back, for one thing, which is really nice. But the really early stuff is being funded a lot more by governments, state governments. There still is a group of venture capitalists, generally that operate on a more local level, as well as what are called angel investors, wealthy people who take a small bit of their capital and put it into risky early stage companies. I think, curiosity, intelligence, and so forth, but also a personality that fits. You have to be able to go up to somebody and talk to them in a very, very, not rapid, but high content way in terms of time. And you have to be aware of the fact that anybody that you talk to could be a source of money, or could be a source of a partnership of some point. So that outward and willingness to talk to people and to really grab their attention is really important. Good question. Because people that are involved in new ventures are usually pretty consumed by their time in making it work, and having teaching alongside. I'm CEO of a company now, And so I keep rather busy, but I very much enjoy physical activities. I play racquetball. I enjoy books a great deal. I read a lot of fiction, very little nonfiction, but I've just recently been through a 3-volume set of books on World War II, which is just absolutely amazing books. And so much detail, not the great battles necessarily, but individual people, officers and men who made a difference, and subtleties in battles which you just don't hear about unless somebody's researched it very, very well. I enjoy cooking. I'm a cook